The most magical place on Earth is what it's called by some. Others aren't as convinced. Here are the top 5 dark stories told by Disney employees. Number 5 on this list is the shaky infrastructure. Whenever we go to theme parks, we all buy into the fact that these are safe. We believe in the infrastructure that's there and are led to think that these rides and these attractions are regularly monitored by safety inspectors and need to meet certain standards if they are to be ridden. Disneyland prides itself with being one of the safest parks in the world and is always talking about how they check the rides like crazy. That might just be a complete bunch of baloney though. A former employee of the Disney parks recently exposed them for doing something super sketchy with one of their rides. Andrew379 says, used to work at Splash Mountain and one time the ceiling collapsed on the logs with guests in it. They just put a tarp over the hole and kept running the ride. I never rode it again after that. Now, I'm no expert on safety precautions, but you would have to imagine that tossing a tarp over a gaping hole probably isn't gonna fit the bill. Now, I don't think that anyone went on to get injured while riding this ride afterwards, so that's a positive, but it definitely calls some things into question. Like, now that I know Disney does stuff like this, you gotta wonder about all the other rides they have at their parks. How many times throughout the history of Disneyland did they have a ride run when it probably shouldn't have been? Were there any borderline times where they should have just let the ride be and pushed it too far? How many times did they cover up little things like this? All important and pertinent questions if you ever want to see me riding another Disneyland ride ever again. Number 4 on this list is Walt's light. Walt Disney was a very sentimental guy. He liked little mementos and cute little things. Well, one of those little things that he did was have a lamp that was always turned on when he was at work. Disney Wiki says, according to legend, when Walt created an apartment in Disneyland, he placed furniture with a small kitchen and a lamp. The lamp was used as a signal for the Disneyland cast members. Every time Walt went to work, he would turn the lamp on. When Walt went home, he would turn it off. When Walt died, the cast members finally turned it off. The next morning, though, the cast members went to work to find the lamp on. The lamp was turned on by itself mysteriously. The lamp was never turned off and never went out. The lamp now holds Walt Disney's spirit and is a cherished part of the Disney family. Now, this is meant as a cute story and it's portrayed as such, but they didn't go into detail there on how this was actually discovered. Apparently, a Disney employee was there the night before and was responsible for turning the light off. They did such and was walking out of the room when the light turned back on. They got a little frightened but went to turn the light off again, and sure enough, before they could leave the room, boom, lights back on. Now they are really freaking out and have to call a bunch of people in to see what the heck was happening. Eventually they just chalked it up as Walt Disney's ghost coming back, but that's also like really scary too. I'm kind of surprised that we're just all okay with having Walt Disney's ghost just chilling in a lamp at a fire depot, like just overseeing everything. I mean, I guess if they're cool with having his head in a freezer like people talk about, then a little ghostly lamp action really isn't that big of a deal either. Number 3 on this list is the Haunted Mansion. Alright, so there are actually tons of different legends surrounding the Haunted Mansion, so I wanted to lump them all into one entry here. All Ears says there are 2 versions of this story, one involving a construction worker and the other involving a test rider. While the specifics are slightly different, the overall gist of the tale is the same, that the original version of the Haunted Mansion was so terrifying that it led to someone suffering a heart attack and dying. According to the myth, this led to an extensive retooling of the ride, adding in a humorous tone and delaying the mansion's opening from the early 1960s to 1969. This was the first of many legends surrounding this ride and still is brought up all the time. It's hard to forget that it ever happened because apparently employees of Disneyland today have seen the ghost of this person tons of times. Another legend in this Haunted Mansion centers around Madame Leota's spellbook. Many Disney employees have come out and talked about how they get a bad feeling whenever they pass by this spellbook in the ride or have to do anything with it. Apparently this spellbook is actually an authentic spellbook from the 1400s. It was used by a witch and was responsible for a lot of death and evil taking place. So already we have a ton of scary and dark stuff going on here, but what really doesn't help the situation is when people take the ashes of their dead and spread them. Yeah, this literally happens, guys. Andrew379, a former employee, says it's pretty common for guests to dump ashes of their loved ones on the Haunted Mansion ride. They do it because there are 999 ghosts and there's always room for 1,000. This has obviously left a bit of a ghostly presence at this place, and Disney employees are not too fond of it. One story had a Disney employee run for their life because they were being chased by a whole mob of ghosts, presumably spirits of those who have had their ashes dumped here. There are even more scary legends that workers have told about this mansion too, so moral of the story, probably best to stay away. Number 2 on this list is The Jump. Disneyland has some big hotels on its ground. These hotels have balconies. If someone got the idea that they wanted to take their own life, then it wouldn't be too hard for them to do it from said Disneyland hotel balcony. That's exactly what happened back in 2008. Reuters says a man apparently jumped to his death on Friday from the 14th floor of the Disneyland Hotel at the world-famous amusement park in Southern California, police said. The man, who was in town on business and not immediately identified by authorities, was killed in the 14-story fall from his hotel room balcony. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Right now, it's certainly looking like a suicide, Anaheim Police Sergeant Rick Martinez told Reuters. He was seen leaping off the balcony. Martinez said the man, who was in Anaheim on business and appears to be in his 30s or 40s, also left evidence in the room that suggested it was that. He was sharing a room with another male associate, and for some reason he went out onto the balcony, and all indications are that it was an intentional act, Martinez said. The Disneyland Hotel has nearly 1,000 rooms in 3 towers overlooking the so-called happiest place on earth. Some employees of this hotel saw this happen firsthand and were the first ones to see his body at the ground. It obviously wasn't a pretty sight, having just fallen from 14 stories up. I don't know about you guys, but if I was the one to have seen that firsthand and found him, I truly believe that I'd be scarred for life. That is literally a life-altering thing that you just witnessed and probably won't ever be the same again. And number 1 on this list is mind control. Hold up, Disneyland is using mind control on people? Well, sort of. Screen Rant says Disney has been suspected of some pretty far out things, but mind control? Surely not. The reality of this suggestion is a little bit more plausible than one might first think. Some call it mind control, but Disney calls it immersion. Forced perspective and other visual tricks are common, but it's the smellitzers that truly sell the illusion. These little devices pump the parks full of smells appropriate to their placed environments and can smell like anything from popcorn to pirate water. A secret yet surprisingly effective way to keep guests entranced. Employees working here regularly have even caught themselves consistently getting fooled by these little tricks the park plays on our minds. It's not illegal what they're doing, but it's definitely pretty shady. Really pulls the curtain back on the whole operation that is Disneyland. The most magical place on earth is really nothing more than just a bunch of smoke and mirrors and really nice smells. But there you have it, folks. That is our list of the top 5 dark stories told by Disney employees. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this list and some other dark stories that you guys know about. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I will catch you next time.